Hello, my dear students. Today we're going to start with the activities for week 2, project number 2. Pay attention, please. The topic is pros and cons of living in the countryside. The objective: to talk about the difference of two places using the comparative form of adjectives. Activity number 1. Your cousin from a big city, this is your cousin, from a big city wants to know about your town, which is in the countryside. Look at the pictures and write P for pros, which is an advantages, and C for cons, disadvantages, for living in the countryside. Compare your answers with those of your family. Over here you have 6 pictures. And each picture gives us a message. Remember that you're going to associate each of these pictures with living in the countryside. Okay? So in the first picture, as you can see, there are lots of cars. Do you think that in the countryside, first of all, what is countryside? Countryside means campo, like in this picture. As you can see, this is the countryside. Okay, so are there lots of cars in the countryside? Yes or no? No, right? So there is not lots of pollution because you know that the cars produce pollution. So in the countryside, there is not lots of pollution because there aren't many cars. So that would be an advantage or disadvantage. Advantage means ventaja, disadvantages means desventaja. So you're going to write B if it is an advantage, or C if it is a disadvantage. In this first exercise, what do you think? If there isn't pollution, that would be an advantage or disadvantage? That would be an advantage. So I'm going to write P. Because pollution is bad for our health. So that would be an advantage. For if I live in the countryside, I'm going to have less pollution. Okay, that would be an advantage. Next one, as you can see in the picture, you have some, these people is growing crops. There is food, right? Crops. So that could be an advantage or disadvantage. Let's read, please. Food is organic in the countryside, is organic and doesn't have any chemicals because people grow their own food. So that would be an advantage or disadvantage. Food is healthier in the countryside, so it would be an advantage. And then you're going to write for each picture letter B or C. You're going to decide. Next one, it says there aren't many malls in the countryside. So if there aren't many malls, that will be an advantage or disadvantage. You're going to decide. Next one, you can breathe fresh air. In the countryside, you can breathe fresh air because of the forest. So you're going to decide if it will be an advantage or disadvantage. Next one, there are lovely landscapes. As you can see, over there you have waterfalls. Cascadas, right? So there are lovely landscapes, beautiful landscapes. That would be an advantage or disadvantage for the countryside. And the last one, walking long distance to get anywhere. Remember that in the countryside you don't have too many means of transportation. So you have to walk long distance to get a place that you want. To get to the place that you want. So you're going to decide if it is an advantage or disadvantage. Activity number 2. Send an audio to your teacher by WhatsApp or email about the comparison you did in exercise number 1 using the comparative form. Okay, in this exercise, you're going to create a sentence for each picture, but in this sentence, you're going to use comparison. Okay, remember that when we talk about comparison, we're talking about the following structure: the adjective plus than, right? To compare. If it is a short adjective, for example, I'm going to say small. Small, you're going to add ER at the end of the adjective plus than to compare. This is the structure, right? For short adjectives. But if you have long adjectives, more than one syllable, for example, okay, the structure is going to be more plus adjective plus than. So, for example, I have a modern. There are 2 syllables, so I'm going to add more modern than. This is the rule. Remember, please. So I'm going to write the first example. I'm going to take this picture as an example. I'm going to write a sentence, a comparative sentence for this picture. Okay, let's see. Number 1. Getting around in the countryside is more difficult than in big cities. Perfect. Over here, I'm saying that the adjective is difficult, right? Difficult. We have 3 syllables. So this is a long adjective. So that's the reason why I have written over here more plus adjective plus than. So I have, remember that this is the adjective and this is the comparative form. So in this picture I say, getting around in the countryside, movilizarse en el campo es más difícil que en las grandes ciudades. Because there are not many means of transport, right? So now you're going to write a sentence for each picture. But remember that these sentences must be comparatives. It means that you have to compare. For example, I can say in the second one, okay, let's see. I'm going to write another example. Number 2, I can say, okay, I'm going to take this one. I'm going to take this picture. Okay, in this picture we're talking about food. So I'm going to say food in the countryside is healthier than in the city. Remember that you have some exceptions to the rules. In this case, I'm using the adjective healthy. And I can say, to form the comparative, I can use healthier or I can use more healthy. Both are correct, healthy or more healthier. Okay, this is an exception. Okay, guys, so that's it. Sorry. Oh my goodness. Yes.